Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I've got a lot of Cheltenham and Grand National content and plenty of other stuff coming over the next couple of weeks, and I'm trying to preview every single race of the Cheltenham Festival with at least one video a day over the next couple of weeks until the start of the Cheltenham Festival, which is just over 20 days away. I think it's 21 or 22 days, so hopefully we'll be able to preview most of the 28 races, and I'll start in chronological order, starting with the Supreme, which in 2 years ago was very easy to pick the winner of in Appreciate It. It was a little bit harder last year with John Bon Constitution Hill and Dysart Dynamo, which that looks relatively easy compared to the task on hand here. We've got about 5 horses in the betting shorter than 5 to 1. Who knows where they're going to run, but I'll try to talk through all the horses and give you a preview and a final conclusion of who I think will be winning the Supreme at this point in time. We'll start off with the betting. Facile Vega is 5 to 2. He was odds on just a couple of weeks ago before his no-show at the Dublin Racing Festival. Imperial Pass is 7 to 2. That's in the no-runner money back market. It's not in concrete where he's going to turn up yet. I think he might be better over further, but Willie Mullins will have the final decision on that. Marine Nationale is a solid 7 to 2 shot. Alette Tomps at 9 to 2. Gaelic Warrior at 5 to 1. Lucia at 6 to 1. Tamaras for Paul Nichols at 9 to 1. He shortened from 12 to 1 in the last couple of days. High Definition at 10 to 1. Hunter's Yarn 12 to 1. Dark Raven Chasing Fire and In the Pocket are 14 to 1, and it's much bigger prices for the rest of the horses, which are mainly English horses. So Facile Vega at 5 to 2. He's a hard horse to weigh up. He was the best bumper horse last year. He won his first 2 starts over hurdles, and then he bombed out when he was very short in the market. I think he was about 4 to 9, 1 to 2 in the betting at the Dublin Racing Festival. He showed absolutely nothing. That was quite concerning. He has been reported that he was lame after the race. That would be a concern as well, because it's only about a month turnaround from the Dublin Racing Festival to the Cheltenham Festival. So Willie Mullins will have a job on his hands. But the race itself, High Definition and Facile Vega went off like the clappers out in front. Went off quick enough, probably too fast in hindsight. High Definition didn't exactly jump the first few hurdles, well, I should say. Then unseated. It was maybe a little bit of a soft unseat. JJ Slevin might be a little bit disappointed with the fact he came down, but the horse, High Definition, doesn't really jump well enough. If you can put together a good round of jumping, actually at 10 to 1, he might not be the worst bet of all time. He'll go off in front and nothing will be able to live with him. It's just if he comes back, and the general feeling is he will come back. He is being placed in Group 1s on the flat. He is a very good horse. High Definition at 10 to 1 could be the value. You'd need a lot of trust to back him, but he could run well at 10 to 1. But back to Facile Vega. He stopped way too quickly. He was toast at 2 out and he went backwards. He was beaten 20 lengths at the end of the day. I know he wasn't given the hardest time after the last, but he must have had a tough race and he emptied out very quickly. Quite a few people are saying he must have bled or there must have been a problem. It didn't look good how fast he stopped. He was almost pulled up coming up the straight. He's a horse at 5 to 2 that I couldn't get involved in for the race. He's got quite a few question marks, and even before his hurdle starts, before he finished a well-beaten 5th, there wasn't exactly world-beaten, although he did beat some decent horses. It was just like a Willie Mullins scolding episode on his first run, and the second time he beat Alette Tomps, who came from way too far back. Ashro Diamond wasn't given a chance. I think the writing was on the wall for his second hurdle starts. He was going to win. Alette Tomps was going to finish second, and Ashro Diamond would have finished in third, and that's exactly what happened. He faced a tough test. He was taken on for the first time, and he pretty much spat his dummy out and was well beaten at the end of the day. He's one to avoid for me. On to the second favourite, trained by Willie Mullins as well, Imperial Pass. I'm not too sure this horse does anything too quickly. I think he's one that might want to step up in trip. The problem is Simon Meunier and Isaac Swade. They've got plenty of decent horses who are kind of looking between the two races over 2.5 miles or 2 miles. He might be shoehorned into this, but I think he'd have a much better chance in the Ballymore. He didn't exactly beat some very good horses, and he didn't beat them by very far either. He was pulling away at the end, and he did all his best work late on. It was a decent run, but not the run of something that I thought was a guaranteed to run well or even place in the Supreme. So he looks avoidable, especially at 7-2. Even if he turns up, I doubt he'd go off too much shorter on the day. Marine National at 7-2. A lot of people have latched onto this one, and he hasn't been seen for a while. He's been kept fresh for this race. His last run was when winning the Royal Bond in December time. He beat Irish Point that day. He hasn't done much for the form since, but there was a few horses in behind. Champ Kylie has come out and won a Grade 1 since. Ashore Diamond has won since as well. So I think the form is mixed, but I think the style in which he won was very impressive. He got shuffled back. He was never really in the perfect position. He made a mistake at the last, and at that point I think he went to a big enough price in running. It looked unlikely that he was going to get up, but the turn of foot that he showed was impressive. He does travel well in behind. He does have the turn of foot. He's kind of got everything to run well in this race. This is going to be the biggest date of his life. He's going to be prepared like this is probably the last run of his career. He's definitely aim for Barry Connell to win some of these big races at the Cheltenham Festival. He's got a good chance in the Supreme and the Ballymore, so you know this horse will be 100% fit. They do have the jockey who does take off £5, obviously can't claim £5. That would be a slight negative. However well he knows the horse, you'd much rather have a more experienced jockey, but they seem to get on okay. So Marine National at 7-2 is a decent shout. The horse that I think will win the Supreme at this point is the next one in the betting, Elete Toms, who, if you just look at his run, when even if you take out Facile Vega, he was very impressive. He beat In the Pocket by 10 lengths, and it was another few lengths back to the third and the fourth. And the way he did it, he just tracked the leaders. He travelled so nicely, probably over-travelled throughout the race, but a strong pace in the Supreme. I can see the exact same happening again. He's going to travel strongly in behind the leaders, and he does have that turn of foot. Danny Mullins, who rode him, the horse just took him to the front of the race. Not many horses can do that, especially off a strong pace. So I think he's definitely won. And at 5-1 is kind of an each way to nothing bet. I can definitely see him running into the places, and at this point he'd probably be the most likely winner. Gaelic Warrior, another one for Willie Mullins. He's since come out and said he's more likely to go to the Ballymore. The way he jumps right-handed, I don't really think he could win either. He gets away with it in handicaps and lesser races, but this is Grade 1. You've got to have everything go right, and Gaelic Warrior just jumps violently right-handed when he doesn't have a horse upsides him. That is a major worry. I couldn't have him in the 2 mile race because he'd lose a length at every hurdle, and that's just too much to give away over this kind of speed test. Lucia is one who has come into the question. She won very nicely for Nicky Henderson at Exeter a week or so ago, and is she going to run in this, or is she going to run in the Mares Novice Hurdle? You'd say the Mares Novice Hurdle is more likely, but if she does turn up in this, then she would have a decent chance. She's shown plenty of ability, and she'll get £7 from the other horses as well, so that would help. And if she does turn up, I think she could probably run into a place as well. Tamaras is one who's kind of been well supported in the last couple of weeks. He's gone from 12-1 into 9-1 as other horses have come out and underperformed. He, like Marine National, is would have had a little bit of a break. He'll be coming into this fresh. The 2 miles around Sandown on heavy ground is very different to running in the Supreme. Constitution Hill, of course, did win two hurdle races around Sandown. Then he went and won the Supreme, so it can be done. Although Constitution Hill is obviously a different quality to Tamaras, but I think he could probably run well. But sometimes these Paul Nicholls horses just get exposed in the races against the Irish. No problem of his own, just he doesn't have the calibre of horses that the Irish tend to have. I had High Definition at 10-1. I made my case earlier for him. I think he can run well in this. He's going to be an exciting horse. He's going to make the race interesting because he's going to fly off in front. If he jumps well enough, if he gets into a rhythm, they will struggle to catch him. At 10-1, it's one where you'd be disappointed if you didn't have a bet on him and he went and run, just because you know he's going to go clear out in front. And if he does hold the jumping test, then I think he would have every chance of running well in this. But for me, Elete Toms at 5-1 in the market, he's probably the standout horse for me. He's going to be my bet in the Supreme at this point in time. It might change closer to the day with different conditions, and I wouldn't rush into having a bet now at 5-1 because his price isn't really going to change too much, and especially with non-runner money back, you may as well just wait until the day and hope he drifts out in the market. But Elete Toms in the Supreme, that's going to finish the first video for me. We'll be focusing on the Arkle tomorrow, which looks a very good clash between El Fabiola and John Bon. But until then, thanks a lot for watching. Subscribe, like, comment on who you think will win the Supreme, and I'll see you next time.